Your life as every rank of prison inmate. Rank 1, the county. You are 28 years old, and you are sitting on a steel bench in the Allegheny County Jail at 4:14 a.m. with 16 other men and a fluorescent light that has not been turned off in 11 hours. You were arrested at 11:42 p.m. The charge is conspiracy to distribute fentanyl, 21 U.S.C. 841 A.1, federal, which you do not yet understand to be federal, because the DEA agents who put you in the back of the unmarked sedan did not explain anything about jurisdiction, and because the booking officer at the county facility is processing you as if you are any other state-level defendant. You will learn at your initial appearance in 11 hours that you have been federally indicted alongside 14 co-defendants whose names you mostly recognize. You will lose your bail hearing. You will be held without bail pending trial because the magistrate determines that the quantity alleged in the indictment, 4.2 kilograms of fentanyl over an 8-month conspiracy period, triggers the rebuttable presumption of detention under the Bail Reform Act. You will not, from this point forward, sleep in a bed that is not bolted to a wall for the next 18 years. You do not know this yet. You know that your phone call to your mother lasted 93 seconds and that she cried for the entire call, and that you did not, in the 93 seconds, manage to tell her you loved her before the line cut. You also know that the man next to you on the bench is asleep sitting upright, his head against the cinder block wall, his mouth slightly open, and that you are not going to sleep at all tonight, and that your old life, the apartment, the truck, the woman who waited up for you on the nights you came home late from work that was not work, ended 4 hours ago in the parking lot of a Sheetz on McKnight Road. Rank 2. The intake. You arrive at the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma City at 2:14 p.m. on a Tuesday in March, 14 months after your arrest. You were convicted at trial in January. Your sentence was 18 years. Your designation came through your unit team 6 weeks later. FCI Loretto, a low-security facility in central Pennsylvania, 3 hours from the courthouse where you were sentenced, and 6 hours from the home where your daughter, Sophia, now 4, is being raised by her mother in a duplex you have never seen. The intake at Oklahoma City is the federal system's hub. Every federal prisoner moving between facilities passes through here. The processing takes 6 hours. You strip in a tile room with a drain in the floor, while 2 officers in nitrile gloves perform a visual cavity inspection that you will, by the 3rd time you experience it over the next 18 years, stop registering as humiliating, because you will have rebuilt your sense of self around the absence of bodily privacy. You are issued 2 pairs of khaki pants, 4 khaki shirts, 1 pair of steel-toed work boots, 6 pairs of white tube socks, 6 pairs of white briefs, 1 wool blanket, 2 sheets, 1 towel, 1 washcloth, 1 tube of generic toothpaste, 1 toothbrush with a handle short enough that it cannot be sharpened into a weapon. This is your fish kit. These are the materials with which you will, for the next 18 years, present a version of yourself to the world. Everything else you owned is gone. The watch your father gave you when you graduated high school is in an envelope in a storage room at MDC Brooklyn. You will not see it again until 2044. Rank 3. The fish. You arrive at FCI Loretto on a Thursday in April. The bus pulls through the perimeter at 11:14 a.m. You walk in chains across the loading bay. You are processed for the 2nd time in 11 days. You are assigned a unit, Liberty Unit, and a cell with a man named Ronnie, who has been at Loretto for 9 years on a methamphetamine conspiracy out of West Virginia, and who looks at you for exactly 4 seconds when you walk in carrying your bedroll and says, "Top bunk, don't put anything on the floor." Ronnie does not speak to you again for 3 days. You learn, by watching because no one will tell you, the rules. You do not touch another man's possessions. You do not enter another man's cell without explicit invitation. You do not look at the television in the common room without first checking who has claimed the seating in front of it. You do not, under any circumstances, sit at a table in the chow hall that belongs to a racial or regional group to which you do not belong. Federal prison is, by the structural reality of how the BOP houses prisoners and how those prisoners have organized themselves over 50 years, racially segregated at the social level. Whites with whites, blacks with blacks, Hispanics with Hispanics, others, Native Americans, Asians, mixed race, in smaller subgroupings. And you, being white, will eat with whites, walk the track with whites, work out with whites, and watch television with whites. And you will not, in 18 years, share a meal with a man whose racial designation differs from your own at this facility. This rule is not written down. This rule will be enforced, if you violate it, by people whose enforcement will be far more efficient than any administrative discipline. Ronnie watches you navigate your first week from across the cell. On day 8, he speaks his second sentence to you. He says, "You're doing all right, Fish." You learn, later that night, that this was a compliment from a man who has not given one in 5 years. Rank 4, the car. You join the car in month 4. The car is the prison term for the affiliation group you ride with. In federal low security for whites in your age range, the car is most commonly built around regional and operational identity. The Heartland car for Midwesterners, the Mid-Atlantic car for Pennsylvania and surrounding states, the bikers for actual or aspirational outlaw motorcycle club affiliates, and the looser configurations for whites who do not fit cleanly into any of the above. You ride with the Mid-Atlantic. The car has approximately 26 active members at Loretto on any given day. The shot caller, a man named Brian who is serving the 8th year of a 22-year sentence for ecstasy distribution out of Philadelphia, meets with new members in the law library on the first Thursday after their integration. He explains the rules. He explains the obligations. He explains what will happen if you take a debt and do not pay it. You agree to the rules. You also receive, through the same membership, protections that you did not have in your first 3 months. You no longer eat alone. You no longer walk the track alone. You no longer worry, in the way you worried for the first 90 days, that you will be tested in the gym by a man you do not know who will see what your boundaries are and how you respond. You also accept, in accepting the car, that you are now obligated to respond to violations of the car by other groups, and that this obligation is not theoretical, and that the obligation will, eventually, in the 18 years ahead of you, produce a moment in which you will have to do something specific that you have not yet imagined doing. You do not know what that moment will be. You do know by month 6 that the moment will come. Rank 5, the Commissary. The economic life of the prison runs on Commissary. You are paid 12 cents per hour to work in food service, which produces roughly $18 per month. Your family, your mother mostly, sends $300 every 6 weeks to your BOP TrueLinks account through Western Union. The account is capped at $360 per month for commissary spending. Commissary opens twice a week. The list contains 247 items: instant coffee, tuna packets, mackerel pouches, ramen, refried beans, hot sauce, peanut butter, tortillas, hard candy, deodorant, shampoo, fingernail clippers, the kind without a file because a file is contraband, thermal underwear, athletic shorts, ankle socks, a portable Walkman radio with no tuning knob, regulated frequencies only, a small stack of pre-stamped envelopes. The most important commissary item by every measure is mackerel pouches. Mackerel pouches are the prison's reserve currency. A pouch costs $1.10. A pouch can be traded for haircuts, laundry services, drugs, which exist, in quantities and varieties you did not expect, tattoo work, written motions for inmates without legal aid, contraband cellular phones, extremely expensive, 300 to 400 mackerels, and any other service or good not provided by the facility. You build, over the course of months 6 through 18, a reserve of approximately 400 mackerels in a footlocker at the foot of your bunk. You are now, by prison standards, solid. You also, in month 14, take your first non-trivial bet, a debt of 40 mackerels owed to a man named Dennis on a football pool you ran for a 16-week NFL season. You collect cleanly. The collection establishes you, in the gentle, informal way these things are established, as a person who can be trusted to handle volume. The reputation will, in the next decade, become the framework of your daily life. Rank 6, the shot. You catch your first shot in month 30. A shot is a disciplinary infraction. Incident Report 24X, use of telephone for abuses other than criminal activity. The infraction was, you made a 3-way phone call. 3-way calls are prohibited because federal phone monitoring cannot, by design, track calls that are forwarded by the receiving party to a third number, which means 3-way calls are the default vector for inmates conducting any business they do not want monitored. You were not conducting business. You were trying to talk to Sophia. Sophia is 6. She lives with her mother and a man named Greg who is not her father and who has been her mother's partner for 14 months. Her mother, your ex, will not bring her to a visit. She has not told Sophia the truth about where you are. She has, instead, told her you are working out of state. The three-way call was an arrangement with your sister, who lives in Cleveland, in which Sophia was placed on speaker at your sister's house so that you could speak to her for 2 minutes during your sister's permitted phone window. The call was monitored. The call was flagged. The shot was written. You lose 90 days of phone privileges and 40 days of good time. You also, 3 weeks later, receive a 1-page handwritten letter from your sister that says she cannot continue to facilitate these arrangements because the system flagged her TrueLinks account and she has children of her own. You do not speak to Sophia again for 51 weeks. By the time you do, she is 7, and she does not remember your voice clearly.
Rank 7.
The shoe. You catch your second shot in year 5. The second shot is for fighting. The fight was not your idea. The fight involved the car and a member of a different car, and an offense that occurred during a game of handball that escalated into a confrontation in the recreation yard that you, as a senior member of the Mid-Atlantic at Loretto by year 5, were obligated to participate in. You broke a man's orbital bone. He spent 4 days at the medical center. You spent 11 months in the special housing unit. The SHU at Loretto is a 6-by-9-foot concrete cell with a steel door, a steel cot, a steel toilet, a steel sink, and a 4-inch slit window above eye level. You are confined to the cell for 23 hours per day. The remaining hour is recreation in an outdoor cage that is approximately the same dimensions as the cell, plus sky. You exercise for 1 hour, alone, in the cage, 3 days a week. You shower 3 times a week. You eat all meals through the slot in the cell door. You do not, for 11 months, touch another human being other than the COS, who shackle and unshackle you at the slot. You read 61 books in 11 months. You also, on day 247 of the SHU stretch, sit on the cot at 3 a.m. and you understand, without ceremony, without warning, with the same dry clarity that visits long-term solitary inmates as a near universal feature of the experience, that something in your brain has changed in a way that will not change back. You are 33 years old. You have served 5 of 18 years. You have 13 years remaining.
Rank 8. The pen.
You are designated to USP Lewisburg in year 6. USP Lewisburg is a high-security federal penitentiary in central Pennsylvania, opened in 1932, which has, for nearly a century with various transitional periods, housed federal prisoners considered to require maximum security inside the general population framework. The transfer is administrative consequence of the SHU stretch, combined with a new shot you caught at month 2 of SHU for refusing a direct order. You arrive at Lewisburg on a Tuesday in October. The prison is different. The men are different. The yard is different. The car you joined at Loretto does not exist here in the same form, because the populations and the rules at this security level are different. You spend the first 6 weeks at Lewisburg in a kind of relearning, the rules at a USP, the politics, the careful smaller pool dynamics, in which there are fewer inmates, but each inmate is, on average, serving more time and carrying more history than the men at Loretto. You align with the Mid-Atlantic equivalent at Lewisburg. The shot caller is named Lou. He is 63 years old. He has been incarcerated for 19 years on a homicide that occurred during a robbery in Reading, Pennsylvania, in 2007. He looks at you for 60 seconds the first time you meet and he says, "Quiet years now. Try to be one of those." You try. You succeed for the next 7 years at being one of those. You catch no further shots. You complete an RDAP equivalent treatment program for residential drug abuse, even though you were not addicted to drugs, because the program offers a 6-month reduction in sentence, and you qualify on the basis of a 2014 stint with prescription painkillers that you can document. The program reduces your sentence from 18 years to 17 years and 6 months. You serve those 7 years quietly. You read 300 books. You take correspondence courses in business administration through a program funded by a philanthropic foundation you have never heard of and whose existence you accept without question. You earn a certificate. The certificate, you understand, is meaningless in the world to which you will return. The reading, you understand, is not.
Rank 9. The number.
You are 43 years old and you no longer count days. You stopped counting in year 9. You stopped because counting produced, on a daily basis, a feeling you could not afford to maintain. You replaced counting with a longer rhythm awareness, seasons, programs, mail rotations, that operates at a scale your nervous system can sustain. You no longer think of your sentence as a finite duration with an exit date. You think of your sentence as the architecture of your life, which it has become, and which will end when it ends. Your daughter is 19. She visits you twice a year. The visits are quiet. She talks about college. She talks about a boyfriend whose name you keep forgetting because you only meet him through her descriptions. She is, by every metric available to you across a 4-inch acrylic partition, doing well. She is also, in ways neither of you address, the daughter of a man who has been in federal prison for her entire life, and that fact has done specific things to her that the visits do not undo. Your mother died in year 11. You did not attend the funeral. The BOP denied the temporary release request on the basis that your security designation did not permit it. Your sister sent you a photograph of the headstone 3 months later. You taped the photograph to the inside of your locker. You looked at it once a week for the next 7 years. You read a book by a man named Atul Gawande in year 12. The book contained a paragraph that described what extended isolation does to the human brain. You read the paragraph 11 times. You closed the book. You set it on the floor next to your bunk. You did not pick it up again. You are not the man who arrived at Loretto in year 0. The man who arrived at Loretto is, by every honest measure, no longer alive. The man writing your name in your locker has been the only inhabitant of your body for 9 years.
Rank 10, the gate. You walk out of FCI Loretto at 8:47 a.m. on a Friday in October. You were redesignated to Loretto in year 16 for the final transitional months of your sentence, in accordance with the BOP's standard re-entry protocol. You have spent the last 14 months of your sentence at the facility where you served the first 3 years. The cell where you slept in year 1 is now occupied by a man named Carlos, who arrived 11 months ago, and who looked at you when you returned, and you looked at him, and neither of you spoke. You are 46 years old. Your daughter, Sophia, 22, is waiting in the parking lot in a Honda Civic. She has driven up from Pittsburgh that morning. She has brought a jacket and a pair of jeans, and a phone with a SIM card already activated, and a bag with the contents of an Airbnb she has booked you for 3 nights while you figure out what comes next. You walk to the car. You hug your daughter. You hold her for 40 seconds without speaking, and she does not know that the 40 seconds is the longest you have touched another human being without restraint or supervision since 2026. You get into the passenger seat. You look at the dashboard. The dashboard is a configuration of digital displays and ambient lighting that did not exist in any car you ever owned. You do not know how to operate the heat. Sophia does not say anything about this. She drives. You watch the autumn trees of central Pennsylvania pass through the window at 65 miles per hour, which is a speed you have not experienced for 18 years, and you understand, not for the first time, not for the last, that the world has moved without you, and that you have, at 46, fewer years of useful working life remaining than the years you spent in custody. You arrive at the Airbnb at 11:14 a.m. Sophia unlocks the door. She shows you the bedroom, the bathroom, the small kitchen. She shows you the smart TV. She shows you the keyboard combination for the Wi-Fi. She says, "Dad, I'm going to give you a minute." She goes to the porch. You sit on the bed. You sit for a long time. The sheets are smoother than any sheets you have touched in 18 years. The room is quieter than any room you have been in 18 years. You close your eyes. You do not cry yet. You will, eventually. Not today. Today you sit on the bed and you let the silence that the prison did not contain, the silence of a small bedroom in a small Airbnb in Bedford, Pennsylvania, fill the space in you that has not, since 2026, been silent for more than a few minutes at a time. The silence holds. Sophia is on the porch. She is letting you have it. She is, you understand fully for the first time, the kind of person who lets her father have his silence on the morning he comes home. And you understand also, with a grief that is not the kind of grief that ruins you, but the kind that finally settles you into the body you have been given back, that she became that person without you, and that you will spend the rest of your life trying to deserve the daughter who became, in your absence, exactly the person you needed her to be. Every rank of prison inmate ends in the same place: the gate, the parking lot, the car you do not know how to operate. The system you entered at 28 has machined you, for 18 years,
into something that fits its architecture. The architecture is no longer around you. You are out. The first hour of being out is the hour in which you understand what was done to you. The second hour is the hour you begin, very slowly and without any guarantee of success, to undo it. Most men do not undo it. The recidivism statistics, 44% of federal releasees rearrested within 5 years, are not statistics. They are the description of the architecture you carry inside you, intact, that the gate did not remove. You will try. Your daughter is on the porch. That is the place where the trying begins.